Hi, everyone. Welcome to our special talk tonight. My name is Godwin, and I'm with Martin and Isaac. So most of you have probably met me already, so I'm just going to make my own introduction quick. I'm a Cal alum who graduated in 2016 in EECS. I'm currently a software engineer at Salesforce, and in my evenings and weekends, when I'm not coding, I serve as a mentor for Klesis Christian Fellowship. Now, here's Martin and Isaac.
Hello, everyone. My name is Martin. I'm currently a rising junior at Klesis, and I'm studying bioengineering at Cal. And in my free time, I love to play guitar and bass, and also to longboard.
Hello, my name is Isaac Bay, and I'm also a rising junior at Klesis, majoring in mechanical engineering, but soon to be EECS. My hobbies include mostly physical activities like spikeball and basketball.
Yeah, so that's a bit about who we are. So the topic we chose for tonight's talk is 3 reasons to start a spiritual quest with Christianity. But before we share what those 3 reasons are, what do we even mean by the word spiritual quest? Now, maybe words that come to mind when you hear quest are fire-breathing dragons or iron-clad knights. I also have a picture of Indiana Jones dashing through a collapsing cave, clutching onto a prized artifact in one arm. I think for most of us, more generally speaking, the word quest sounds almost like an antiquated word, like it's a relic that belongs to our medieval past. Even if quests were found in the modern day, they'd be reserved for the bold, the fearless, those treasure hunters with 9 lives like Indiana Jones. But I want to suggest something to all of us tonight. I want to suggest that we are all on a quest of some kind, from the most daring to the least adventurous of us. We're all seeking some treasure to be found out there, even if that treasure isn't the shiny or glittery type. This fact is, if you got out of bed this morning, then you are on a quest of some sort. You got up because you found some motivating purpose to keep going on in life, to keep on running. Whether that purpose is to be on the cover of Fortune magazine, to have that picture-perfect family, or even just that cozy suburban life. But I think these so-called quests really point to something even deeper. And I like to think of all these quests as mere subplots to a bigger, more fundamental quest we're all a part of. Something I'd like to call a spiritual quest, a quest to make sense of our existence. And often when it comes, what that amounts to is a lot of existential questions we would ask. And here are some of them that we probably asked at one point or another. What is the meaning of my existence? Why am I here? What is my place in this vast cosmos? So if you've asked these questions, whether you've wondered them out loud or thought about them as you lay awake in bed, then you are among the ranks of what we would call a spiritual seeker, someone on a spiritual quest for purpose and meaning. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what we mean by a spiritual quest. Now, here are some of the reasons why we think that when it comes to spiritual quests, Christianity is a good starting point. They're contained in 3 F's. It's free, it's falsifiable, and it's founded by Jesus.
Thanks, Godwin. So, first off, Christianity is free. What do I mean by that? I want you to recall a time when you've had to make some important life-altering decision in your life. For most of us in this room, that was probably choosing which college to enroll in. So I want to take that as an example. Imagine that it's college decision day, that fateful day when all the college decisions come out. 3 separate packages arrive in the mail. You open them, and inside every one of them is an acceptance letter congratulating you for getting in. I mean, it kind of sounds like my experience, except I had triple the rejections, but oh well. Now, I don't know if they would actually ever include this information, but just try to imagine with me that each letter tells you how much it would cost to enroll in their school. The first school, $25,000 a year. Second school, $20,000 a year. And the third school, well, a full ride scholarship. You don't pay a dime. Now, assuming that the schools are of roughly the same caliber, which school would you at least consider first? I think most of us, unless you're related to Elon Musk or Bill Gates, would probably consider the cheapest option first, especially if it's completely free of charge. The third school seems the most intuitive choice for anybody. So what about when it comes to the spiritual questions? See, most religions throughout history answer 3 crucial questions about the world. The questions of origin, predicament, and resolution. They each present an origin story, how we got here. They identify a problem, something that went wrong, and finally they present a resolution, how to fix that problem. The Buddhist says you have to follow the Eightfold Path to relinquish all attachments in order to become enlightened and reach nirvana. The Muslim gives you the 5 pillars, a set of behaviors that ensure you get on God's good side. The Hindus say that you must make sure your good deeds outweigh your bad so that you aren't born as a cockroach in the next life. Out of all the major world religions out there, Christianity is the only religion that provides a solution that's completely free. Ephesians 2:8-9 says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is a gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast." In Christianity, the resolution was initiated, carried out, and finished by God. All we have to do is receive this gift. We don't pay anything. The analogy I gave about college tuition can only be taken so far, because even with a full-ride scholarship, there are some hoops we need to jump through, like essays you have to write or some grades you have to maintain. But according to Christianity, the most important thing in life, salvation and an invitation into eternal life, is completely free of charge. All it takes on our part is to say, yes, I want in, sign me up, and it becomes our own. That's what Christians mean by the word grace. It's a merited favor, getting something we don't deserve free of charge. That's why Amazing Grace and so many beautiful songs have been written on this very subject. So my background was one of strong Christian values and morals. During my early years, I lived a good life. I went to an amazing school, enjoyed church, and loved everything that was going on. Just absolute bliss. However, this all came to a stop when I experienced a long episode of depression in my middle school and high school years, was a part of many divisions in church, and witnessed fake Christian lifestyles driven by worldly desires. Just to get a picture, I was usually in one of 2 conditions: a lifeless doll or a bomb ready to explode. Seems pretty awful, right? Yep. But this all changed when I became very close to a youth pastor in the last church that I moved to before I came into college. Even though I had many fits of anger and emotional breakdowns, he never gave up on me. He poured out his time and his energy for me willingly when I didn't deserve it. Through his act of grace, I came to understand God's grace and accept Christ in my heart. See, every other religion on the planet says do, but Christianity says it's done. It is finished. God himself has paid the bill so we can walk free. Now, just to be clear, what I'm arguing tonight isn't that Christianity works and none of the other solutions proposed by other religions work. That's not what we're here to discuss. All I'm saying is that if out of all of the available options, Christianity is the only one that is free, shouldn't we at least consider Christianity first? So that's the first reason why a spiritual quest should start with Christianity.
Okay, thanks, Isaac. So the second reason we want to give you today of why Christianity, or you should consider Christianity first, is that Christianity is falsifiable. So what do we mean by that? So going back to the topic of big decisions, imagine now that you have to make some big important financial choice, some decision that involves dishing out thousands of dollars. It could be, for example, going to college or getting your first car out of college even. I was recently in this situation when my friends and I were on the search for a new apartment to rent. Now, I'm sure many of you have been in this position and know what it entails. So first, you kind of browse online what the market is like currently. You check out some photos of the apartments, and then you finally go see it in person. Now, imagine that for some strange reason, after choosing a nice apartment online, the landlord made you sign the lease before even getting to see it properly in person. It would be quite suspicious. Usually the photos online are taken such that the apartment looks a lot bigger or cleaner. And so you obviously be very wary of this and choose not to rent the apartment. With this ludicrous example, we hope to illustrate what Christianity is exactly not. Unlike many other world religions, Christianity offers a way for us to verify or falsify its claim. It invites us to come and see, to come and examine the evidence for ourselves. And this is what we mean when we say that Christianity is falsifiable. It invites us to test it out and to see if things add up. Now, that's not to say other religions are all exclusive and don't welcome people to join. Many religions have their own ways of welcoming people and sharing their beliefs and inviting people to their circles. But the reason why Christianity stands out is not just because it invites us to take a look, but it also gives us ways to put its claims to the test. Christianity stakes everything on a historical central event called the resurrection. 1 Corinthians 15:17 says, "If Christ has not been raised, your faith is useless." So as you can see, the resurrection of Christ is paramount to the Christian faith. In order to fully examine the historical claim of the resurrection of Jesus, you would actually need far more time than we have today. However, we still believe that this is an important issue, so if you are interested, we encourage you to check out a Klesis weekly talk given a few weeks ago on this topic. It's available on our YouTube channel or on the link in the slides. But questions like, did the resurrection of Jesus actually happen, are essential ones that we must tackle personally. No one can fully convince you of the evidence unless you go out and look for it yourself. This is actually something that I struggled with. I was born and raised into a Christian household, much like Isaac. I memorized verses in Sunday school and had Christian friends, the whole shebang. However, after a series of personal events in my senior year of high school, without going too much in depth, I decided that no God could ever exist who would allow such things to happen to his followers. So for about a year, I formally considered myself an atheist. Then, the summer before coming into Cal, I tossed and turned with a lot of questions related to spirituality and religion and my purpose in life. And I really decided to look at the evidence for myself. Why or why not the account of Jesus should be believed. And in the end, I came to the conclusion that the Christian faith is reliable. Now, this might not seem like much coming from someone raised Christian, but the point is this: you cannot dismiss or believe something without searching on your own behalf. So coming back to this topic, however, Christianity is the only major religion that puts all of its eggs into a single basket. The truth of this entire religion hinges on this historical single event, and that is the resurrection of Jesus. That means it boils down to this: either Jesus resurrected or he didn't. If he didn't, don't even bother with Christianity. Move on and look somewhere else. Since Christianity hinges on this one crucial event, disproving it would invalidate all of our beliefs. However, if Jesus did resurrect, well, that would change everything. In contrast, this can't be said of most other worldviews or religions. Take Mormonism for an example. If you go ask a Mormon, why are you Mormon? How do you know Mormonism is true? They'll tell you to place your hands on their book and pray. You'll then know Mormonism is true if you feel a burning fire in the bosom, a burning conviction. That's when you know that you're saved. But the question is, how do you falsify something like a subjective feeling? What about Islam? Muslims believe that the only way to disprove that the Quran is divinely inspired is to find a work of literature more coherent and beautifully put together. See Surah 482. Now that seems good and all, but the only question is, who gets to be the judge of that? Who decides which book is more or less coherent and which has fewer contradictions? So you see, Christianity is special in that it offers spiritual seekers an objective, clear-cut way to invalidate its own claim. As a matter of fact, that's what many people have set out to do, including me. Josh McDowell, long before the internet was around, traveled all across Europe on a mission to disprove Christianity. However, in his search to invalidate the Christian faith, he was instead convinced by the historical evidence he encountered. And today, he's one of the leading defenders of Christianity. Lee Strobel, a former atheist and journalist for the Chicago Tribune, applied all of his training as a journalist to investigate and expose Christianity as a hoax. And similar to McDowell, he converted to the Christian faith during his investigation. And now he's a best-selling Christian author with books like Case for Christ, which details his journey to the Christian faith. And just like it did for McDowell and Strobel, Christianity also offers all of its spiritual seekers a rational way of testing its claims. So, if we are on a spiritual journey, wouldn't it make sense to start with the one that is falsifiable? And that's the second reason why we think a spiritual quest should start with Christianity.
Thanks, Martin. So far, Isaac and Martin have given us two reasons to start with Christianity. It's free, it's falsifiable. The last one I want to cover tonight has to do with a man called Jesus, who is, in case you haven't heard, kind of a big deal. So today, when we hear the name Jesus, maybe what comes to mind are statues and stained glass windows in magnificent cathedrals. But it's easy to forget that the actual historical person, Jesus of Nazareth, had really humble origins. For me, one of the most remarkable things about Jesus was what an unremarkable life he lived. And there's this short piece called One Solitary Life that I think captures it really beautifully. It says, he was born in an obscure village, the child of peasants. He never wrote a book. He never held an office. He never traveled 200 miles from the place where he was born. He did none of the things that usually accompany greatness. He was only 33 when the tide of public opinion turned against him. He was turned over to his enemies and went through the mockery of a trial. He was nailed to a cross between two thieves. When he was dead, he was laid in a borrowed grave. 20 centuries have come and gone, and today he is the central figure of the human race. All the armies that ever marched, all the navies that ever sailed, all the kings that ever reigned, put together, have not affected the life of man on earth as much as that one solitary life. And in 2013, Time magazine came up with a list of the most influential people in all of history. They collected millions of traces of opinion across their web and ran a computational analysis on the data. And what did they find? Jesus came out on top, over and over again. Jesus was ranked higher than all the other big names of history, like Napoleon, Muhammad, and Shakespeare. In fact, this is what Napoleon says of Jesus. I know men, and I tell you that Jesus Christ is no mere man. Between him and every other person in the world, there is no possible term of comparison. Alexander, Caesar, Charlemagne, and I have founded empires, but on what did we rest the creation of our genius? Upon force. Jesus Christ founded his empire upon love. And at this hour, millions of men would die for him. But that's not all. Each of the major world religions also has a special place for Jesus. Muslims revere him as a prophet and special messenger sent by Allah. Hindus believe that he's one of the greatest devotees of Vishnu and in reincarnated form. Buddhists believe him to be an enlightened one. Even most atheists would agree that Jesus was a great moral teacher who laid the foundation for Western civilization. So it's clear that every religion wants to claim a piece of Jesus. But out of all of them, Christianity is the only religion with Jesus at the central figure. The word Christian literally means follower of Christ, because Jesus is none other than the founder and perfecter of our faith. So if we find ourselves on a spiritual quest, wouldn't it make sense that we start from the religion that has the most influential figure at its center? So that's the final reason why every spiritual quest should start with Christianity. So again, tonight, we've given 3 reasons why we think Christianity is the best starting point for any spiritual quest. It's free, it's falsifiable, and it's founded by Jesus. But before we end tonight, there's one more story I'd like to share with all of you. And it comes from the Gospel of Mark. And Jesus went on with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. On the way, he asked his disciples, who do people say that I am? And they told him, John the Baptist. And others say Elijah, and others, one of the prophets. And he asked them, but who do you say that I am? Jesus asked his followers this pointed question, who do you say that I am? Now keep in mind that followers meant a lot more back then than it does today. Much more than a simple click of a button on someone's Instagram. To be a follower of Jesus, most of these men gave up their careers and some even their families to travel with Jesus. But still, Jesus needed to hear from them personally. He wasn't interested so much in what the rumors were, what other people were saying about him. His question was personal. Who do you say that I am? You know, earlier I suggested that all of our many quests for wealth, prestige, and romance, they all really point to a deeper underlying spiritual quest. And you know what? It turns out the spiritual quest that starts with Christianity doesn't end with some pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Christianity ends with a person, the person of Jesus. The quest for Christianity is not a quest for treasure or knowledge. It is a search for a person, for a relationship that we lost. And to seek out Christianity is really to answer the same question Jesus asked. Who do you say that I am? Am I just an upstanding Jewish rabbi? Am I a prophet and nothing more? Am I some raving lunatic to dismiss? Or do you believe that I am who I say I am, the Son of the living God? So this is the question we want to leave all of you with tonight. The question I hope all of you will answer for yourselves. And to help with that, we wanted to pitch something called Alpha Course, starting not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after on May 20th. Alpha is a video series that explores the many big questions that we talked about tonight and shows the unique answers that Christianity provides. So if you want to learn more about Alpha and the format we'll be offering, feel free to click this link in order to express interest, and we'll send you an email with more information. So that's all the content we have prepared for tonight. Have a good evening, everybody.